Let me share a little bit about my story. So the main thing that I want you all to understand is that this company to me saved my life, quite literally, when it comes to the health. I was suffering from health conditions, some stomach related problems for my whole childhood. I'm not sure if anybody on this call can relate to having some kind of health issue that you're embarrassed about. You know, there are certain things about our digestion, not being able to use the toilet, go to the bathroom, any of those kinds of things that is kind of frowned upon sharing with your friends openly and like, hey, yeah, you know, haven't been to the bathroom in days. Like, nobody really talks about those kinds of health issues. Crohn's, you name it, IBS, all those kinds of things are typically pretty private matters for the most part. And after discovering this company, I learned that pretty much everybody has health issues. I was amazed, like how when you look at someone from the outside, you can't tell the things they're suffering from on the inside. And maybe just their spouse or their really close immediate family might know, but generally it's kind of a secret. And that's unfortunate that society is this way. But regardless, so I grew up with these problems. I always had bloating, pain, discomfort, acid reflux, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, couldn't use the bathroom. Things were just, I was very sensitive to anything I tried to eat, stress related. Everything was sort of always manifesting in terms of symptoms in my stomach. It was stomach related. If I got a cold or a flu, instantly it was my stomach. I rarely had other symptoms aside from stomach problems. So this went on for many years. When I was a little bit older, like not old, but older, like 10, just super young, right? I started to have some pain that would feel like gas was bloating in my stomach. And if I don't look down, it would feel like my stomach was out to here, like I was like pregnant in terms of size, like just massive. And it got to the point where I would feel like I would explode, like my stomach would literally explode. And it was so painful, so excruciating. And at the last second of feeling like I was going to just pop, it would have this weird turning over feeling and then subside back down to like 80% less feeling of exploding. And then it would build up from the beginning all over again. This very, very difficult to handle, even just emotionally and mentally, never mind the physical pain. So this went on for a long time. It would happen every 3 to 6 months. And I'd go to the hospital, go get all these tests done. And I was in so much pain. I was telling the doctors, pleading for help, like, something's wrong with me, please figure it out. And they would do all these tests on me, blood test, this test, the other test. And it turns out every single time they came back with my test results, they would tell me that I'm perfectly healthy, that I'm a perfectly young athlete. I played sports. I wasn't like obese or didn't, carry extra weight or nothing that would be obvious as what was going on. And all my vitals and all the things that they could test were like, everything's within normal range. There's nothing obvious going on here. It was very, very frustrating. So I'd get an IV drip. Sometimes I'd be in the hospital for a few days, just literally getting hydrated. And what was really crazy about this is after many, many years of the same repetitive thing, I tried different diets. I tried different supplements. I cut things out of my diet. And I'm a teenager. I'm like young. My mom was always conscious of what we ate in our house. We didn't eat a lot of junk. Occasionally a treat and stuff like that, but it wasn't our normal diet or anything like this. I was an athlete. I trained. I worked hard. I ran, I was fit, all these things. And so this continued and continued. Finally, I started getting these gallbladder attacks, which would feel like as I'm walking, I get punched in the gut and I just collapse literally anywhere I was walking. I could be in my house. It could be at the mall. It could be on the street. Just kind of hunch over, fall to the ground and feel like I couldn't move. And I was in like fetal position, just holding my stomach. And my mom would take me to the hospital when this happened. And I was in so much pain. They'd give me morphine and all, whatever. It was kind of nuts. And then I got to go see some specialists, and 3 separate specialists said that I need to get my gallbladder removed, that it had to do with my gallbladder, a condition called gall sludge, which is kind of like gallstones, but instead of like large stones, the sludge was like stones obliterated into like hundreds of pieces, really small, but they were still big enough to get stuck in the bile duct. And apparently all this pain that I was experiencing was because this particle would be stuck in my bile duct and it would cause this inflammation and this pain, and eventually it'd pass and then everything would subside. So doctors told me I'd have hundreds of these in my gallbladder and it would last the rest of my life. And it would just kind of be sporadic, occasional, every few months it would happen. And I'm like, nice life, right? Like, I don't want to be suffering from this for the rest of my life. I'm freaking 15 years old. Like, I was quite upset about that. After 3 specialists all told me to do the same thing. We trusted the doctors. We trusted the professionals. They went to school. They're supposed to know what's going on with me. And I'm not supposed to really challenge them, if you think about it. So we ended up having a conversation with my mom, and I got my gallbladder removed at like 15, 16 years old. Simply symptoms went away. It seemed to be the answer. And about 6 months later, all my problems came back. My symptoms were worse. My pain was more severe. I was even more sensitive to food. Everything would trigger me. I was even having more troubles on the toilet and so on. And this went on for years longer, about another 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years after my gallbladder got removed. And then my mom, during that 5-year period, really got mad at the system, the medical system as we know it, or healthcare, or depending on where you live in the world. She really felt like we were giving up our power to just trust the doctors and to get put on prescription medications and just take it and not really challenge it or not really think for ourselves or do our own research. She was really upset that she was in that vulnerable situation as a mother and her son now doesn't have a gallbladder, and they were actually wrong. That wasn't really what was wrong with me, but now I'm missing a vital key organ at 15 years old. So she got really, really pissed off about that. Started doing her own research, reading a lot of books, alternative medicine, holistic nutrition, things of like Eastern philosophy and so on. And one of the things she noticed during this research and education process she went down the rabbit hole was they were all talking about the importance of the quality of water that we drink, and that not all water is created equal. And it was kind of an interesting thing because the books were third party. They had nothing to do with the company that I'm going to talk to you about today, but they were all saying that 70% of our health depends on our hydration and the water that we drink, because we're made mostly of water. As you know, we're not made of supplements. We're not made of vegetables. We're not made of, healthy meats and proteins and all the rest of it. Those things are very important, and it's a piece of the puzzle towards health, vitality, living a long life, but it's only 30% of the equation. And we spent over a decade trying to figure out what's wrong with this 30%. And we made progress and we figured out quite a few things, but we still weren't ever told by any of the doctors ever when I went to the hospital or any of the specialists. Not one single time did anyone mention water to my family or to me, ask me how much water I drink, what kind of water I drink, and so on. So it was kind of baffling. And so the books were kind of the key, like a little bit of a clue. And there was all these different doctors, top of their field all over the world, who were talking about this. And my mom's like, as if it's water. So she starts researching the water online, comes across a couple websites that were actually talking negatively, ironically, about the company that I'm going to share with you today. And my mom was wise enough to not listen to the negativity or the defamation. It's like a defamation of a company or defamation of a brand, like shit talking on the internet. She was wise enough to recognize, let me go do my own research and look for the positives, and why are they comparing themselves to this company from Japan, and so on and so on. So that's how we first found out about it. And that was in 2008. At this time, I was in a really dark place of my life. My father had passed away from prostate cancer 8 months before. I was grieving. I was sleeping in. I was smoking dope at night. I dropped out of college. I was really in a dark place. It was my equivalent of rock bottom, even though it wasn't, anywhere near as bad as other people's rock bottom, but it was rough for me. And so basically nothing was going well in my life. I lost my dad, had no money, dropped out of college, was a bum mooching off my mom. It was just a really bad circumstances. And then on top of that, I was always in pain. I was always in this pain with the stomach issue. So I was just kind of miserable. Every day I was just miserable, and I wouldn't talk about it openly. I'd just kind of be grumpy and rude and short with people. And they always thought it was them, but it was really just me. I was just so unhealthy and not feeling well and in pain. I was just trying to cope with that. So my mom finds out about this company, finds out about this water. And one of the philosophies of the company, the main philosophy that the whole company was built upon, is compassion and helping people first, not trying to make a sale, but actually helping them first get results with the product. And then once they get results, naturally they're going to buy the product, which is one of the reasons why this works so well offline, traditionally face-to-face, is because you can give away infinite samples to people to try it out. And then once the water does the magic in your body, you're like, how do I get one of these? I'll pay any price, because you already know the positive effects of it. And so that was kind of my family situation. My mom, she didn't make much money. She was a single mom, 2 boys, made around $3,000 per month, which is not very much, as you know, and it was could go a little bit further 15 years ago, but it wasn't very much money. She was only able to get the machine through financing. So long story short, I tried the water for free for 2 weeks. I was super cynical, very skeptical, told my mom there's no way that water was going to help me because we tried everything. So I kind of given up hope. I just accepted that this was going to be the way my life is, and tried to be grateful that it wasn't something more severe, a more severe illness or disease. And it was just a upset stomach, or like pain in my stomach. It could be worse. I was trying to look on the bright side. My mom's like, listen, you're going to try this water. I feel like we finally found what we've been searching for, what we've been missing. So I drank it kind of like rolling my eyes, like not taking it very seriously. I drank it for a couple of weeks, about 1.5 liters, which is a third of what I should be drinking in a day. No, now what I know better is about 1 gallon a day is what I personally need to have in a day. I was drinking 1.5 liters, and then 2 weeks goes by. My mom asks me how I'm doing. And it was a strange realization at first, because what I ended up replying with was instinct. It was natural. I just replied with good. And good doesn't seem like a big deal to many people, people, but when you've been unwell and your answer is always negative when someone asks how you are doing, and I said good, in that moment, I was like, wait a minute, why am I good? And I realized that I was going to the bathroom normally. I wasn't in any sort of pain, but it was subtle. It sort of just disappeared. And I never really noticed the moment it disappeared until my mom asked me how I'm feeling. And then my eyes lit up. I got super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it might be working. I think it's doing something. And so anyway, it wasn't until about a month after that moment happened where I went away for the weekend with some friends and I didn't take the water. I didn't take the machine with me. And all my symptoms came back in just a few days of not being on the water. And that's when I was like, wow, I finally realized that taking it away after having it, I now really see the value. So anyways, long story short, my mom started asking everybody she knew, friends, family, colleagues, and so on, had they ever heard about this company before? And every single person said no. And it was really strange because the company was 34 years old at the time. It's 48 years old today. So how is a 34-year-old company unheard of? It just didn't really add up. It was very confusing. So all these people said no. My mom's like, well, are you willing to give it a try? Are you willing to try it out? It's free. And they said, yeah, okay. And I became the water boy. And now, mind you, I'm in a dark place. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to have strangers come into my home where I'm sulking and being a victim and feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm trying to be in my dark dungeon, smoking joints in the backyard when my mom's at work. Like that was kind of my mindset. It wasn't a good mindset at all. And so I'm starting to fill people up with water. And if you've ever filled up one of those massive gallon jugs that are like water coolers, at the office, those really huge ones, it takes quite a few minutes to fill one of those up when they're empty. So you can imagine the awkwardness of me standing there with someone I do not want to talk to, who's like my mom's friend, and me just kind of looking at them being like tapping the counter, like, right? Super awkward. So I'm like, I don't want much of this going on multiple times a day. So I got really great at asking these people questions. So they talked for 15 minutes and I could listen. And at first I didn't even want to listen, but I was like, fine, I'll listen. And I started asking them, are you experiencing any health issues? Anyone in your family have any health issues? And they started opening up to me like, yeah, I got this pain and this problem and arthritis and back pain and skin issues and eczema and you name it, I heard it. And all these people, as I'm looking at them, telling me their stories, they didn't look obviously sick. Like in some cases, I'm like, yeah, you don't look healthy, but you didn't look obviously sick. So I was like, wow, everybody's got something going on. This is kind of weird because I never thought about it like that up until that time. So they started taking water samples for free, coming back every couple of days for refill. And because my mom's at work and I'm the first contact of these people, I'm witnessing these miracles firsthand. I'm seeing them come on day one, tell me about XYZ pain, problem, situation that they're in. And then as the weeks went on, they're telling me those things are going away and like tears of gratitude and thankfulness and whatever. And I'm just like, wow, what is going on here? And then I started becoming excited to see these people. In the beginning, I was like, God, another person's here. Like, I'm trying to watch TV. Like, you know what I mean? Then afterwards, I'm like, ding dong. I'm like, yes, I wonder who it is. I wonder what their story is. I wonder what changes they're experiencing. And I would just be the person that listened, hear the updates. So anyways, this went on for about 6 months and it literally changed my life. It turned me from being such an asshole, energy, negative person to like genuinely looking forward to changing someone's life. And all I did was fill up these massive jugs and sat there. I didn't do anything. The water did all the work and I listened. So I'm like, this is something special. I told my mom, I'm like, I think we came across something really special here. And she's like, I think so too. My mom had amazing results. My brother had amazing results. I had amazing results. And every single person that tried it had amazing results. Not one person said it didn't work. So I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. So after 6 months, we're now like the water person of town. It's like never ending people coming to our house. I'm pretty sure our neighbors thought we were selling meth because it kind of looked like it might be meth. So we were like suspect on the block. And we're like, no, it's water. I know that's weird and nobody understands, but we're not drug dealers. Okay, I swear. We don't have nice stuff. Come on, there's clues here. So it turned into that. And what was interesting is my mom couldn't sell anything if her life depended on it. Like, not to throw my mom under the bus or anything. I love my mom. She's the best, biggest heart in the world. She had no sales skills, no communication skills, none of that stuff. She was just a person who loved people, wanted to help people, and wasn't someone you'd ever expect to be successful in a network marketing business or anything like that. But all she would ask them is, have you ever heard of this company? They said, no. Are you willing to give it a try? Yes. Great. Go see my son. That was her whole thing. She couldn't explain it. She didn't talk about it. Nothing. It was like one question. No. Will you try? Yes. go see Balazs. And I'm like, another person, until their lives started to change. Then I got excited. So after 6 months, all these people are like, are you the only one in Canada that has one of these things? Because no one else has one. Can we get one? So like, it was like the inevitable sale that would happen when you don't try to sell something, right? So anyways, we were like, we don't know what's going on here. Contact the person we found on the internet and you can buy one from them. We didn't even understand how this whole business worked. So finally, we send people to him. He calls us confused. What's going on here? Did you know the company has a referral program? And da-da-da. And we're like, no, we have no idea what's going on here. He's like, come over and look at the compensation plan. When I saw this compensation plan, I knew my life would never be the same, because I was already doing the business unknowingly by just giving the water away, and people wanted to buy. And so now I connected the commissions, and I'm like, this is enough money for me to change people's lives full time. Like, I could do this for my whole life. I could do this as a career. So I had eyes of grandeur. I'm like, we're going to change the whole world. You know, we're going to sell machines, millions of all this kind of thing. I'm a 21-year-old kid, literally came out of depression like a week ago, completely turned my whole mindset around to like, we're going to change the world with this. So I start telling my friends who are all in college and student loan debt, or working up in the oil rigs in Alberta, Canada, or construction, or kind of whatever, all broke, all in debt, all like not in network marketing or business or anything like that. And a couple of my buddies saw my transformation with my stomach issues, so they grabbed a machine. Everyone else thought we were crazy. We got scammed at snake oil, all the negative things you can imagine. And it was really hard because we knew we had something special, but no one was willing to listen. So I gave up on trying to convince anybody or tell anybody about it. And I just used the product for 5 years. I went and did door-to-door sales during that time. I learned some people skills. I learned how to solve people's problems and help people through that model. And basically, once I started making some good money, I realized that freedom was actually a higher value of mine than only making good income. And so that was the moment I'm like, if I just make a bunch of money, but I can't do anything, I can't travel, I can't make my own hours, I can't take time away, I can't start a family and miss out on the early years like I just did in the last couple of years when my daughter was born, and I took 18 months off and my income grew, my business grew. And that was always my dream, is like, how do I build something that doesn't require me to show up every single day and still grow? So that's how everything started. And that was in 2008. I started the business in March 1st, 2013, which was 9.5 years ago now. And the first 3 years, all we did was offline, face-to-face, live presentations. And I just want to highlight the fact that if that's your style, if you like doing home parties, if you like doing coffee shop meeting, 2-on-1s, any of those kinds of things, this is probably the best company that I know of, because samples are infinitely free. And if you just get on this water for 30 days and you can have people commit to only drinking this water for 30 days, cutting out pop, juice, all the other BS people drink. And if they're going to make coffee or tea or anything else, they just have to use this water to make coffee and tea. And if they do that, it's fine. But if they just do that for 30 days, every single person ends up wanting a machine. That's how good the product is, and you can give it away for free. The only issue I had with it is that that is a very slow model. I do not want to talk to small living rooms of people, 5-10 people at a time. I don't want to have to drive around town delivering water to everybody, because I don't think that's the best use of my time. So even though it works and it's a really powerful way to start getting things moving, ultimately I knew that automation, leverage, and online was what I wanted to create. And I don't have a tech background. I don't know anything about social media marketing or any of these things, but I knew it was possible. I saw other companies doing it. I knew there was a way, and I was just very committed to the laptop lifestyle vision. And I knew if I could combine the automation, the leverage, and running paid traffic, so I am in control of my lead gen, I know I can get 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 leads a day, no matter what I'm actually doing with my time. I knew I could impact more people, and I knew that I could live the life of my dreams. And so I was on the mission to make that happen. And it took me a few years to figure it out, to find the right people that were willing to do the work and put it together. And now that's where we are. And now that's available to you. So yes, I encourage you to talk to everybody within 3 feet of you and go in elevators and touch people and ask them if they want to hear about the water. If that's your thing, it works very well. But I think learning the skill set of what we have to teach you through our online education is ultimately where you should double down and focus your time, because give it a year or two of you learning this and like focusing on it, you can absolutely change your entire future and create that legacy income. I'm convinced this is the greatest opportunity that is available to us today that checks all of the boxes. And even though it's a 48-year-old company, it is still a sleeping giant. It's just starting to wake up right now. So it's not old in the sense that you missed the boat. It's just old in the sense that it has the foundations and the stability and the operations all over the world. There's no country that is out of bounds with this company. So you can literally build all over the world, which is so special. We don't have to wait for markets to open or none of that stuff. It's ready to go right now. I really do think that if you see what we see and you can see the big picture, this will be a pivotal moment for the rest of your life when you make the decision to get started and join us.